You're asking so many. You're asking so many questions today, Luther.
It's a little too much caffeine today. Sorry.
Let me make sure I don't have some like proprietary assets in my
Share it on
screen
your.
share. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Okay, we can do it. We're fine. We're good. We're going to start now. I have to pick the right screen. If I pick the wrong one,
Show all your private
then I'll
repos.
get in trouble. Okay, here we go. I did it.
Nice. What is that? Gotta zoom out. Well, that looks like servers.go. Looks like someone's been doing cube all day.
No, it's just for this show, Luther.
Oh, you prepared.
Okay. Here we go. Let me open up. Here we go. All right. So today we're going to do a special episode. Special episode. Luther, do you want to introduce yourself and Spectro Cloud?
Yeah, so I'm Luther Munson. I'm a software architect at Spectro Cloud. We are one of the SASE cube companies.
Luther, what does Spectro Cloud do?
We do CAPI. We do multi-cluster management with CAPI. We've got a bunch of stuff sitting on top of it. So we're deep into CAPI repos, and we are pulling that all together, and we're deploying clusters for people.
Oh, okay.
In a SaaS situation, right?
Is it the same as Tinkerbell, or is it different? Or is
I don't even know what Tinkerbell is. I'll be honest with you. Let's Google.
Okay.
Bare metal automation. No. Our claim to fame is that we made a CAPI provider for MAS, and then we did a bunch of weird bare metal MAS things, and then we added more on top of that and pulled all the providers in. So we actually physically wrote a CAPI provider, which I'm going to try to upstream one day, and then we then took the rest of the CAPI providers and implemented them.
Okay. Enterprise Kubernetes management.
As a SaaS. Well, yeah, look at that. That's a good looking.
Oh, who made this? Did you make this?
I wish.
Did you make this with your kids?
No, it would be much more Crayola if I did.
Okay. Here we go. All right. So let's look. All right. So we're gonna go through the whole, like the history of like the whole. Like we're gonna try to see how much of the history of the original policy API we can reverse engineer.
Oh, really?
From the early days.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's take a look here. So this is like one of the early issues, right? So you can see this was Casey. Casey created this. He's a chair over at Sig Network. He works for Tejera. So this was he works on Calico, and I'm getting a spinning wheel, so I got to stop while my computer catches up with me. All right. So the original policy API was it was like an ingress, right? So it was an ingress API. It was not an ingress API, but like it only implemented, let's take a look at it, right? So the original implementation is here, right? And the reason we're doing this is we've got some new people ramping up to help with the cluster admin network policies. And in order to do that, it's kind of helpful to know how all this stuff got started. So originally there weren't caps, I guess. So there was these doc proposals, network policy, MDI. Those of you who have been involved in Kubernetes for a while will remember this. So we used to have these proposal docs, and then the proposals would go in, and then eventually they made the upstream enhancements repo. But so in the original proposal, you could see there's a, here we go. There's the namespace spec. There's the namespace network. Whoa, look at all these. So these, I don't think these are, this is a markdown. This is the original proposal, but I think they like changed it or something, because I don't think yeah. Okay. So let's start with here. This is the best place to start, right? So originally there was ingress rules, but there weren't egress rules, right? Which is what I wanted to show, right? Mm-hmm. And so
do you know why they amended egress rules initially? Think about it.
I think they considered egress. Let's see. That's a good question. This proposal does not yet include egress,
Well, they acknowledge it.
CIDR-based policy, right? Which will actively undergoing discussion in the SIG. These are expected to augment this proposal in a backwards compatible way, right? So the first original network policies, this was in 2016, right? They didn't have egresses, right? So it had pod selectors, it had ingress, but it didn't have this idea of a policy type and an egress, right? So, and that's important to when it comes to trying to understand the policy API, because it if for those of you that use it, you know that you actually have to let's go find one. So let's go find a network policy. I have one here. So let's see. So if I go to Luther, where is it? CD. Okay, it's prototypes, CD, right? So if I go in here and I look at a policy, let's say Nginx policy. Well, I hope I actually put, maybe I didn't even put it because it's a default. Well, so this is a good example, right? If I look at this policy here, you can see there's no type. There's no type. And sort of the reason, so like if I look in here, example network policies, right? I think there's Amit B has a really good website. We can look at the original docs here. So you have ingress and you have egress and you have these two, but you also have this weird policy types struct, right? So I could add this struct here and that would be the same equivalent policy, right? So I can do this. Policy types. Okay, let me add this. Okay. And now if I say, now let me get out of there. kubectl create -f nginx pol.yaml. Okay, so I create it. Then kubectl edit network policy. Okay, so we can see in here that I had this ingress, right? And well, that makes perfect sense because I added it, right? But if I was to nginx pol, oh gosh, my StreamYard bubble is in the middle. If I was to vim nginx policy.yaml, if I go here and I was to delete this, right? Okay, and I was to kubectl delete -f nginx policy.yaml, kubectl create -f nginx policy.yaml. Okay, and then I go and I edit it again. We'll see that this information gets defaulted for me, right? So you might say, well, why is that, right? And well, that's why, because the original PR from a long time ago was made to just support ingress. So that became the default moving forward. And that's kind of something important to think about with APIs, right? Like if you only support one version of an API, if you only support one thing in an API, that thing is the default forever, right? So that's the first lesson learned here, right? Like if you're making an API, I guess, like you have to keep in mind that like if you assume something's always going to be the case, then it will always be the default case, right? So even once that's not the case anymore. So that was the original one. And then so then we had the first bug fix, right? So let's go here and we can look at how they validate the network policies. So if I go here and then let me cd to source Kubernetes, right? I git show this, right? If I go in here, so just a few weeks later, I think, and I think Casey did this one too. He had this bug fix, right? So this is the validate. This is another interesting little tidbit of history here. We used to have this. This used to live in the API extensions validation.go. Now it lives in a different place. So if I go if I go to git grep here, now it lives in networking validation.go, right? So now it used to live there. Now it lives in packages, APIs, networking validation.
So I don't know the history on this. As extensions was sort of a add-on, they were just adding things in, and then they kind of graduated into being a full level sort of package. I mean,
I was wondering the same thing. And so if I look in here, do we still have it? I guess we still have it. So then the question is, do we still maintain this? Like, what do we do in here? I guess all the V1 beta 1 APIs still have conversion hooks in them. And then we have a thing called fuzzer. And then we have this. I don't know what the hell this thing is. API machinery package util runtime. Yeah, I don't know what people do in here nowadays. I don't know what that thing is for. So maybe people will still use it. I don't know. But if we can go, we can look at the modern version equivalent of this because it's the same thing. And if we go and we look for what's it called? If we look for validate minute object update, right? Wait. Let's just go the original one. I don't want to be all dramatic right now.
You're never do that.
Here we go. Okay, so what they're doing here. So looks like this was the first bug fix to the network policy API in 2016. So, yeah. So what was happening here is, I guess this variable was being shadowed. So you could see like he had a declaration here, and then what he did in this PR is he got rid of the declaration. So what that meant was this append kept happening properly, and then all of the errors then properly got glommed on, and then that allowed it so that like a lot of different things could go wrong when you created a network policy, and then that would be caught server side. So, and then it would be rejected. The object wouldn't be created. So, like if you do, like if here I made one, so and the next policy. So a good way to see how the validation stuff works, is in this case, and it's not necessarily trivial to figure out how to see the validation code working, because most of the things that you might do would be either like syntax errors that would just be caught generically by the API server. But this is one good example because Ricardo's end port, right? PR. And in this one, like one example of why you have custom validation, right, is that you have logic that's really, really API specific. Like, for example, the beginning port has to be less than the end port when you're doing port ranges, right? So that's a place where you really need to have the server side networking / validation stuff. So in here, you can see there's a range. I think it's like here, right? Less than end port. You can see this code in the validate network policy port. So then when he does this, right, if I go and I create this, you can see this getting tripped, right? You can see how this gets called. So if I do kubectl create -f that, see, it gets mad at me. It doesn't let me create the object, right? It says is invalid, spec 0 ingress endports invalid value 222, right? So that's this validation code. So anytime you create a new, when you update the network policies stuff, like you have to go, or any of the APIs in Kubernetes, you go into the package /APIs /whatever, and then you have to like add some like boilerplate in here to just check the fields after they get intercepted by the API server and sent down to your thing, right? So there's the first bug fix. So this is a good history. Are you having fun so far, Luther?
This is a blast. Just walking through time here.
It's like going to, it's like being in a time machine.
I mean, it's coming on almost a decade old, so
yeah. So so this is 2016, right? So then what happens between 2017 and 2020? Well, so during this time, this is when we go from having an API to Cilium and Calico and the other early network policy adopters actually like, sort of implementing the API, right? So we have here the Cilium's original one. And then if you go to page 19, you can see when they did this. And it's kind of interesting because you can see how these projects have evolved over time, right? Like one of the things that was interesting to me is Cilium kind of out the gates was a network policy thing, right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, like a network policy centric, like Kubernetes centric project, it looks like. Because you go back and it's like Cilium 0.8.0, and it was like Kubernetes from day one, it seemed like almost to me. And if you look back in the early mailing list, Thomas Graff, who's in charge of Cilium, was very active in the early days, I think, of the network policy stuff. I mean, I guess he's still active, but so and then of course the Calico stuff was different though, because Calico came out like in the OpenStack days, so I think they evolved to become a Kubernetes provider. So if I go back here, there's a lot. I can go a lot further back, I think, but well, I'm not 100% sure though about that. So nobody from Calico is here to justify whether that's true or not.
Well, Tigera, right? So
No one from Tigera is here. Maybe Calico was, I guess it's Felix was there before, but I don't know whether Tigera stuff was called
I
Felix.
don't know. Calico uses Felix in a weird way. I'm not sure how they.
I think Felix was there before, and then Calico was the Kubernetes thing around it. So
Not a history I'm well
yeah.
aware of.
So
What is the core difference of Calico and Cilium then at this point? And I know Cilium was eBPF. I don't even know the underpinnings of Calico.
Calico's big thing was like you could do either VXLAN or BGP, right?
Yeah.
But then if you do BGP, that's kind of the thing that I think people get excited about, because they can glue it into their data center and have really scalable
But then
routing stuff that way.
But then Antria went Open vSwitch, right? So that was the difference.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Antria does the Open vSwitch thing. So Antria directly has a switch in the CNI that runs, right? So if I look in Antria, you can actually see it. Like if I kubectl get pods -a dot kubectl exec -t-i, and I go in here and kube system bin sh, right? Okay, so I can see here I have this Antria gateway. What is this BRPHY? I don't know what that is. And then I have this OVS NetDev. So this is a device. So you can see the Open vSwitch device is like plugged in right there, and I have the Antria gateway plugged in there. And then you can see like when I make new containers. So if I scale up the number of pods, let's scale up the number of pods, and we can see new ones that are plugged in. kubectl scale deployment core DNS -n kube system -replicas was 5. I could go back in here. IPA. What? Fine, I'm going to do like 10. I don't know why I don't see more. There's nothing landing on this node. Maybe I'll go on another node. Get pod -a. Kube system bin sh. Come on. What did I do here? Oh, hey, hold on. Here we go. Why am I not seeing new devices?
By the way, that BRPHY thing, Google tells me it's a device for some broad range 100 base T1 something for a physical layer. What
BRPHA?
PHY. So it's some Broadcom interface that is auto-attached, I guess.
Here we go. I guess all my containers are landing on the same node. So you can see here, each one of these are the devices for the containers, and each one has its own little name. So you can see these are all my core DNS containers, and then each one of those devices then gets plugged into this is the Open vSwitch thing. So they're plugged into that switch that way, right? So let me see here. So that's like a layer 2 thing, whereas in Calico, it's all doing it over IP stuff, right? And there's no switch that's like sitting between your pods and the outside world, right? It's all broadcastable. So, all right. Now, if I go back, so that's that. So then these two, so interesting.
Wait, can I ask you a history question here? So this was from 2017 to 2020. We had Calico and Selenium start going. When did Andrea when was the first lines of code in Andrea ever written?
So then you get, well, we'll get there. So we'll get there in a second. So then we get to, so then we get to,
I mean, what's up, dude?
20. Wait, Ameem is here. Finally, we got two people watching now. Ameem, we're doing the history of it.
Don't worry.
So, okay. So now if I go to, so in 2017, Google announced Calico for support, and then we created the Network Policy Working Group not too long after that. I'm sorry, very long after that. Now it's 2020. What am I talking about? So here's the Network Policy Working Group. So, this was like early days. Oh, this is 2020. That wasn't the one I meant to show. There's another one. Was this it? Oh, that was a proposal. I don't know. Whatever. 2021, we made it the group. I don't know. I don't have the link to it. But so, and then Antrea came out in 2020, right? So Antrea comes out in 2020. Then here over at VMware, we're like, we have a CNI too. So we're like, okay, this was announced in 2020. She left us recently. She's now at Google. Hi, Susan. Hi, Susan. I don't know if she still comes. I don't know if she still comes to Antrea Live now that she's at Google, but anyways, so Antrea came out, and then this is when we announced it. Now this is in 2020. That's about the time we got what's it called? Founding interest in that's about the time we started running our network policy end-to-end tests, and about a year later we announced the network policy sort of our attempts at making network policy a conformant way to sort of scan network policies in a collective way, and we added these table tests to it. This was all in 2021. And then this is kind of around the time that the Network Policy Working Group sort of started to take off. So as you know, now we can run these tests. So we made it so that now you can run these tests, and these tests will print out tables, and the tables will, oh God, I hate it when it does this. The tables will help you visualize the policies, right? So you can say kubectl get nodes, kubectl edit node. I don't know why these tests get hung up on this stuff. There's a good reason. I'm going to untaint this node so that we can just run the test. Yeah, it should start now. Yeah, so it's starting. So you'll see these network policy tests give you some notion of conformance, and then we built this tool called Cyclonus. Matt Fenwick built this tool called Cyclonus, which sort of puts our tests to shame because it generates every single possible permutation of a network policy and then gives you a test based on targets, peer IP blocking, UDP, deleting pods, multi-peers, all this stuff. And then those tags, it prints out which of all those different types of network policies, which ones worked and which ones didn't. So it has its way of generating policies, and then based on the policy that's generated, defining a matrix that can automatically validate the policies using the same logic that we use in the upstream Kubernetes E2Es. So then that came out. So at that point, I think we were getting a lot done in terms of sort of like figuring out how to make the network policy API like a first-class citizen in the Kubernetes world. And then people asked us for these things. So I made a blog post about this yesterday because I wanted to make sure I had something easy I could access during this stream. So we kind of started looking at this problem of like, what are the things people are asking for? Because, the network policy API allows you to do some basic things that we all know about: selecting pods, selecting namespaces, selecting CIDRs. And And then so we needed to figure out like, okay, what are all these people asking for? Because we had this network policy working group that had been running for a couple of years. And so we created we had all these group hangouts, and then everybody would come and yell at us about all the things the policy API didn't do. And I made this horrible diagram that tries to express this. So in these blue things here, you have all the things that people wanted. So for example, they wanted action policies. They wanted the ability to prioritize policies. My policy is better than yours. I want to block everything, and I know you want to allow things, but you're not as important as me. So my policy wins, right? Now, one thing people asked for which was kind of an interesting one, is an idea of a secure gateway policy where, like, if, for example, this web app wants to talk to these web apps on this other place, then it always accesses them through a specific gateway somehow. And then people wanted default port ranges that were allowed and disallowed. And then some people asked for things like, being able to whitelist all DNS access. So they're like, I'm not worried about people doing DNS. I want that to always work. And then people asked for, what else did people ask for? Default service policies, right? So one person was asking for this idea that every pod that comes up should be able to access kubernetes.default.service.local, right? Because that's just like a fundamental internal thing that every pod should be able to access, right? Because that's where the internal DNS lives, right? What is wrong with this cluster?
It's not happy, huh?
Oh, maybe there's too many. kubectl scale.
There's too many people watching Andrea live. It's slowing it down. That's the problem.
Yeah, somebody's DDoSing the. Okay, so
Exactly.
whatever. So, anyways, these are so ultimately.
Wait, hold on. Before you go past that diagram, that is fascinating. How long did it take you to put that together?
I don't know. I think I don't remember. It's a really shitty diagram if you actually try to read it.
Well, it's valid, but like it's cool that you documented all this and tried to. I really like how you took and you made the connection.
You like me?
I like you. You're a good dude. No, I like how you went in and got the connections, and then you're like, people were asking for this, and the little call out to it. That's just a fascinating way to do that. I just, because it's all complicated stuff, and it's all just lights going down a tube somewhere. You got to figure out what you're doing.
I thought it was really weird. I think some people didn't like it and some people did. I got like a 50-50 response on it. A lot of people were like, what the hell is this? And then some people were like, oh my God, thank you so much for diagramming it. I was like, whatever.
All right. Well, thank you so much for diagramming it.
Okay. So anyways, what we boiled it down to is this. People wanted port ranges. The other thing, one thing people asked for is namespaces by name, and we were able to get that in. So if you actually look here, we added a thing now. If you go into a cluster, kubectl get ns, kubectl edit ns, let's say default, you'll see that now there's a metadata.name field. This was something that the network policy working group added. Now, every namespace in Kubernetes has a metadata field, right? And that field has a metadata field that tells you the name of the namespace. And you'd say, like, why the hell would I label a namespace with its own name? The reason we did that was so that people could make network names, so people could make network policies against a namespace without having added their own labels to the namespace.
Oh,
right. So, like, for example, I'm going to make 100 namespaces, and I want to build a default network policy for each one of those, but I don't want to also have to add labels to those namespaces because maybe I don't have permissions, RBAC rules to add labels to those namespaces. But if the API server by default always labels every namespace with its own name, then I automatically now have a mechanism for building network policies against that, right?
Yeah.
So that's this, right? So that was this one. That was done by the network policy working group, right? So why does this suck so bad? What is going on? Oh.
You just scrolled up.
Why is this so... I don't know what's wrong. I have some kind of problem with my cluster. Anyway, so okay. Then moving forward to, so then finally we hit, so now we're, and here's our, so finally then we move forward to the KEPs, right? So this is kind of what we wanted to get to. So finally by 2022, we started getting some caps coming in, right? So this is how long it takes to change something in a big open source project, right? So we have 3 caps. 3 years later, we have 3 caps, right? That's how long it took. So we got the network policy port ranges, right? That was Ricardo. So this allows you now. That's the policy I showed a little while ago, right? And look, it's not even. It can't make a namespace. Why would it not be able to make a namespace?
I mean, try to make one of that kube
So
configs.
weird.
Do you have 2 different kube configs?
Kind get clusters. Kind delete cluster dash name.
You did clutter.
Had a KPMG thing in there.
You did clutter, not cluster.
That's so weird. Kind, I'm going to delete that cluster. Kind delete cluster. Oh. Kind Antria. Okay. Docker PS. Docker. These. Find delete cluster dash name Antria. I'll recreate it in a second. Okay, whatever. And then we have admin network policy status. So the idea of the network policy status, right? Network policy status cap, right? Let's see here. Gives us the ability for a provider of a network policy, because now the API is changing. So people are starting to say, like, well, we need a way for network policy CNI providers to say, I do or I don't support this policy that was made. So we added this idea of.
Why would you not support the policy? Why would you?
Well, certain providers like Cilium or Oven Kubernetes or different ones have different reasons for not supporting certain types of policies. Sometimes it's just they haven't gotten around to it yet. There's certain things I think in eBPF they didn't want to originally support port ranges. I don't remember why that was the case. I think that changed, but it became clear that there were certain situations when certain providers, and it could just as well be an Antria. Maybe someday there'll be something Antria doesn't support. It could be any CNI provider might at some point have a certain version of their CNI that doesn't support a specific policy, right?
Okay, so this was giving you the opportunity as a CNI implementer to decide if you wanted to support the policy or not.
And publish it so that if a user makes a new policy but it's not supported, it's very clear that the status of the policy is that it's not implemented yet. And then that way you don't have this CVE problem where they create a policy and you have a silent open door, right?
Yeah.
So then that came along, and then the admin network policy is the one which is kind of worth talking about today a little bit. Admin network policy is this one. And so the admin network policy, I think there's a diagram in here we can use, is the idea of it's kind of the realization of this thing that people were talking about, of this idea of hierarchical network policies, right? Where, you have here are the user stories. Deny traffic at the cluster level. So you have a sensitive namespace and you want to make sure that nobody ever accesses that, right? And you want to have that. And then you want to have like allowing traffic at that cluster level. So maybe you want all of these to always be accessible. And in other cases, delegation to an existing K8s network policy. In the diagram below, egress traffic destined for the service pub in namespace bar is delegated to network policies implemented in foo namespace 1. If no network policies touch the delegated traffic, the traffic will be allowed. Okay, so in this case, I guess the idea is in the diagram below the egress traffic destined for a service. I don't get this one really. I'm going to skip that because I don't understand it. Create and isolate multiple tenants for the cluster. So in this case, you want to build tenants in my cluster that are isolated by default. So isolation by default between namespaces. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, like OpenShift, I think does that.
Yeah, pretty sure they do.
Cluster wide default guardrails. As a cluster admin, I want to change the security model for my cluster so that all intra-cluster traffic is blocked by default. Okay, explicitly. Or maybe this is the thing that OpenShift does. I don't know. Okay, so and I guess this by default has its own RBAC rules that it comes with, and the cluster admin will get the ability to modify cluster network policies. So that's a service account, right? So did I get a new cluster yet? Okay. C kind. Why can't I find? Here we go. I'm gonna try to recreate a new cluster. But that's where we're at now is the admin network policy. That's the next thing that's happening. So Andrew Stoikis is doing that, and Moran over here at VMware is going to be helping him with that. And there's other folks in the upstream, in the Entria side, and all over the place that have been working on this. Like Yang's been working on it, and Abhishek worked on it for a while. And so this is living, I believe, in a CRD. So I don't think they're going to put this in tree. I think they're going to put this in a CRD.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha resource will be implemented CRD for this. And I think it's like they have a Kubernetes SIGs repo. Kubernetes SIGs. And I think it's called like network policy SIGs network.
I mean, if they're going to put this in a CRD, who's going to operate on it then? What's like they're going to put the operator upstream and the CRD somewhere else?
I think it's just the CRDs and then you install them and then that's it. And they use the Kubernetes SIGs namespace. And you don't have and that's it.
Awkward.
What's wrong with that?
Who operates on it? Like, why would you just have CRDs? Like, who's using them? Show me the controllers.
Whoever's, I think the controller is the CNI. The CNI will go and query the API to see if there are any things of the type policy.networking.k8.io _admin, and if so, can we install it and see? I don't know. Let's see.
Okay, so that makes more sense. So it's going to be here are the CRDs, these are the definitions, and then CNI implementers go figure it out.
Yeah, can I just create it? Like, do they have them in here?
I guess I mean, if it's just a bunch of manifests, I mean
isn't there a YAML somewhere?
You would assume.
Should be a YAML I could just create, right? It's in here. Types.go, types. This is the YAML, right? No, this isn't it.
No.
Hell, where is it? APIs.
It's probably going to be
config, maybe? CRD? Maybe samples?
No, go back. That was YAML files.
Okay, so these are examples. So I create one of these.
They have them in.
What? Where?
Go to CRD. Go to CRD. What is it? Custom. Those are go to the bases and the patches. What are in here? That's customized crap. So go into base. Yeah. What's this thing?
This.
There you go. Custom resource definition. Your friend.
So here we go. So can I just create one, right?
Yeah. So can you tell me how Antria implements these? Like, have you guys implemented?
I don't know. Have we? Is anyone from Antria here today? I don't know if we've implemented them or not yet. Let's take a look and see. So the type is admin network policy, right? So if I go into the sort of shell am I in? Shell sucks. Here we go. There we go. Get fetch dash all. Why is it?
What are you trying to get at?
Trying to get into the main branch. Okay, get grep. Here we go. Get grep dash I admin. I guess we haven't implemented them yet. I don't know. Maybe we haven't. I just can't find them.
Mm-hmm. If only someone from Antria was on Antria Live.
So I don't. Let's see if they have an issue for it. Antria issues. Come on. Cluster network admin policy.
Doesn't look like. Oh, closed. Wait, there's closed. Go back. Wait, down there should support audit logging. So they have a Antria network policy CRDs. No, that's your guys' stuff. It's not the admin policy CRDs.
Yeah, this came out. Yeah.
Huh. Oh well.
Okay, I'm gonna make a new issue.
Here, see, that's how you open source.
Implement it would be nice to have docs on how to have an initial implementation of. Okay, so if we look at the CRDs here, kubectl. Okay, so let's get that thing, right? Can I just create this?
Yeah, but what's it going to do?
Oh, didn't
boy.
like it. Jesus.
Forbidden must be undefined or be structural. Okay.
Why is it like
if I saw that, I would just bail. That's too many errors.
What is that? What is this? What is it saying? Is it this dot things at the top?
Oh. Well, the dash would be fine, but nope. Oh. Ooh.
It's fine to me. There's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah.
It's just a custom resource definition. Why can't I do it? It's saying spec validation open 3. Can I skip validation?
Nope.
Must be undefined to be structural. What is this? All of?
Well, just read it out there. So spec egress ports, port number, protocol. Forbidden must be undefined or structural. So it's probably validating with all the open API schema stuff right up there, and then it doesn't like what's down below. So go down to the bottom to egress. Go back into that YAML file and go to the bottom of the egress sections.
But I said validate equals
yeah,
false.
Exactly. Dimitri's got it. It's customized. Going to have to put some stuff on this because remember there was a customizations.yaml. It's probably just got some find and replace files. You're going to have to. Yeah. See.
How do I do that?
Well, I mean, do you customize?
I don't. So I have to clone?
Yeah. So go into the YAML. Yeah, go into the customize YAML.
I don't know how to do customize.
Well, then let's not do it. Maybe we should skip it.
Git clone. Here we go. So now I CD network policy API, and then what do? Can I CD to config and like have it do it the?
If you go to there and then just run. Do you have customize on your machine here? So open up or cat out that customizations.yaml.
I thought customize was like by default in the.
Swap it to YTT.
Yeah,
Oh,
whose idea was that? Memes.
Yeah. Huh.
No, it's kubectl-k, Luther.
No, I thought they ripped that out. Is that still there?
Oh yeah, they got rid of it.
Yeah,
They don't say it on the website.
Yeah, the story I heard is they got yelled at for just injecting some stuff. I think the Helm kids weren't too happy with it.
Okay. Move this to user local bin. Yeah, you're right. I mean, do it in YTT.
Yeah, YTT is so much better.
Here we go. Okay. So now what do I do? Can I just do it? Like, can I just do customize /
So cat out that customization YAML file. No, wait, stop. Cat that customization. What's it actually want? Nothing. What's the other file in there? Oh, that's the config. There should be. We've got the config file. Yeah. I think you can just do a customize. I don't do this all the time. We actually automate this stuff at work. Anybody know the command? It's like customize something. You just apply it and it will go do it. I can try to find my code in my.
Yeah, how do I custom? I don't know. So, okay. So I'm just going to take the examples and make that my issue. Yeah, if you can figure it out while I do this, I'm going to go to the samples.
I believe we got a bunch of cube people here. We can't figure it out. There it is. See, there's good. You just Dimitri, salt of the earth, that guy.
What did he do?
Customize, build, period, and then pipe it to kubectl apply -f dash.
Dimitri, what are you doing? You're just like, how did you figure that out?
Dude,
what is he like?
Customizes. He knows.
Is it like a thing, like a secret society of
customizers?
Pipe kubectl apply -f dash. Let's see. See if it works. So Dimitri, if so, you win the gold star for today. Luther doesn't get the gold star.
Maybe I didn't want your gold star.
I mean, I didn't want your stupid. It still doesn't like us.
Oh God.
It doesn't like. There's something wrong with the OP. I don't know. Okay, fine. I'm just gonna say I don't know how to file an issue. I'm just filing issue. I'm just like on a rampage today.
Is that what Imperialize is about? Just
yeah.
Issues after issues.
Instructions for installing the CRDs.
Can you post that repo? Can you post the repo where those CRDs are?
The CRD directory on Antria Live.
Please don't link to the video for this to watch us flail it using customize.
Yeah. How can we install these? We tried. Dimitri. I don't know. Okay. We tried doing. This is a good total. We're on a rampage today, aren't we, Luther?
Let's go.
I'm not taking shit from anybody.
No.
Here we go. As well as just kubectl. Okay, cool. And I'll link this here.
When we do it at work, we just do a customized build with an output to a string essentially, and then we apply that. So just go quickly, do that real quick with it. Just do customized build in that directory. Let's just see what it does. Should just yeah, and then that should be good. So try it.
It doesn't like it's the same. It's the same message.
Hold on, let's just read real quick. Required value protected. The same crap. Oh wait, no, it's not. Protected groups must have approval annotations. Are you just running this on a different version of
API approved?
Yeah, what's that? Is this a different Q version problem?
Maybe I could just change the CRD.
Yeah, I would just torch that, right? I mean, by the way, when we get the CRD installed, what are we doing with it?
I don't know what we're going to do with it. We're just going to install it so we can see, so we can do list its short names and stuff. I mean, nothing's going to happen. We're not going to like win the Nobel Prize for this. Oh, wait, Dimitri has another idea.
Build config. Yeah, that might do it too. See?
Oh, yeah. You knew all along, huh?
Oh, why didn't we just get Dimitri on the show?
Because it's like 12 o'clock. It's like nighttime for him.
I mean, he's still here.
What is config default, Dimitri?
I think he thinks there's a secondary. No, config CRD, wasn't it? Yeah, so that gets you then you're supposed to pipe that, right? But then there's just, I think it's a cube mismatch version because it seems like the.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
What are you running on? What cube are you running right now?
Old client, maybe? You think maybe I have an old client?
Yeah, you're 118. Maybe that stuff doesn't work until like 120 or something. What is a cluster? Go back to the version again. You looked at client first. What's
Can I just do one thing at a time?
A meme says run make install. It says that they'll just take care of it for you, and that we're
Is
stupid.
he serious?
Yeah, he says we're all dumb and we don't know what we're doing.
Oh my god, they have a make install?
Let's see it. There we go. Okay. Since this is where it installs all the viruses. Make file.
That doesn't work either, I mean. Controller gen not found. What the hell is that? But that was a good idea. Maybe that's the way we're supposed to do it. Move. Okay, so where's my kubectl? Chmod, kubectl, move kubectl, user local bin. Okay, kubectl version.
So you got a 124 server with a 118 client. It looked like an API error. I think that this isn't going to fix it. But.
All right, now we got an up-to-date kubectl. I had like a really old one in my path.
That was pretty old. You're showing your age there, buddy.
Yeah. Let's see. Jesus. How do I do this? So if I go to cd config and then I do that
So could you do one of two things? Could you either move your console or your CLI up a little bit, or could you kill the things that you pin because it's like what you're typing is right in the middle of the. There we go.
Jesus Christ!
What? I'm just trying to upgrade your production value around here.
Here we go. Customize. Luther Monson. Luther Monson. Here we go.
Oh goodness! Wait, cannot find. Oh, you're not in the right directory. Okay, yeah, still the same for him.
Still hates us.
Forbidden must be identified. It's the same thing. How did you get it? Just do the build without the dot and whatever. Just do the No, get rid of the kubectl apply stuff. Let's just see what it spits out. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
It's not working, Luther.
What's wrong?
It's over.
Okay.
Party's over.
Moving on. We failed at figuring out customize.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay, so that was it. So yeah, here we go. So now if we go, now if we get kubectl get CRD and we look, there's one other thing worth looking at here, which is that we do have Antria network policies, right? So kubectl. So you could see Antria has its own network policy CRDs.
Are those copies of the other stuffs?
No, these are already there. So when you install Antria, you get your own CRDs that Antria puts in there, so you can have your Antria network policy if you want, right? So and those for folks that want to learn about those, and that's how it is Antria network policy. If you look at those, they're here, right? And I just wanted to make sure folks know that we have them here, right? And wait, this is an old ODOT 13. Why is this? Sorry about that. This is what I meant. Yeah.
Googling.
Here we go. So if people are interested in running these, not wrong one. People are interested in running the cluster network policies and stuff like that, the cluster scoped ones, the ones with the logging, some of the ones that I showed you earlier in the diagram on the left, like a lot of that stuff has been implemented in Antria, and we have old Antria live episodes where we've gone through some of those. So like we did a demo of the fully qualified domain policies. Let's see, they have tiers, right? So they have tiers, which is kind of like similar to the admin network policies that we were just looking at. There's let's see, I don't know what this ICMP. Oh, ICMP, they support ICMP policies. I didn't know that. Multi-class egress, traffic, and RBAC. I didn't know he supported RBAC enterprise. Oh yeah, and they actually follow some of the same things. So as you can see, since the policy CRDs are similar to these admin network policies, they actually do the same thing, where they give the ability to edit those only to the cluster admin. Yeah, and then here's the way that they implement priority. So a lot of the stuff that's in the upstream policy comes from the way Antria, Calico, Cilium, I guess, have already been doing this. Now, I don't know if Cilium does the tiered policies and all that stuff. I haven't looked much at that.
What's it referencing when it says the agent? Which agent? Is it the Antria agent, or is it?
In order to churning the agent. So the agent is literally the Antria daemon set that's running, right? So I guess they don't. But I don't know why that would be. Like, what happens if I set it smaller? I don't know why that would. Who knows? Anyways, we have another show on that. Okay, cool. So that's the history of the policy API. Here's where we're at today. And now you all have seen it. And if you guys want, let's see if we can rerun those tests before we go.
Well, I do need to figure out then, if that's the history of it, where did the flannel kids go wrong and not end up implementing that stuff, and people, just tacked on canal in the long run? What did I miss in that history?
Flannel folks?
Yeah, why didn't they ever do network policies? Well, in their own way, I guess.
I mean, I don't think it's that easy, Luther.
I know it's not that easy. Maybe that's why.
I suppose it's just because it's hard, right? Like,
just you come in and so. I mean, I'm so used to people saying, like, let's just roll canal so we have network policies, right? Which is taking the Calico network policies and then using it with flannel. So
yeah.
I don't know why someone made that choice at one point instead of just adding it to flannel. That's just a little bit of piece of history I don't know, never figured out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's just there's a lot to it, right? So, find dot slash dash. Okay, so I'm going to move that to user bin. Okay, I'm going to move this to that. Okay, and then I'm going to e2e.test. I'm going to say user local bin. Okay, here we go. So now it's working because I was actually using an older E2E test library. So now we'll actually be able to see them running.
All right,
so you can see the reason is because like here's the reason, right? So as you can see here, there's a lot of different stuff to validate when you have a single policy, right? You have to make sure that all these different other namespaces don't get corrupted by it. So, we found that there was bugs in really all the CNI providers found. I mean, we found subtle bugs in really all of them at one point or another, I think, with this tool. And so it's not easy to implement these, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different quirks in the API. Like, for example, one of the quirks I'll show you that a lot of people don't know about. What the hell is this? See this right here?
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that different CNIs may or may not implement loopback policies. So if I declare a policy that I say netpol XA should be able to talk to netpol XA, should not be able to talk to netpol XA, some CNIs will honor that, some won't. Right? So the semantics aren't clear here. In fact, in these tests, when we run them, we don't fail if you get an X down here. So the purpose of this is to say this is what we expect, this is what we observed, and here's the differences. So in this case, the test passed because there's no differences. But in some CNIs, if you get an X here or an X here or anywhere else on this diagonal, because what this diagonal is saying is that like the thing in this namespace / pod should or shouldn't be able to talk to the thing in this namespace or pod. If you see anything on the diagonal, that's a check of a loopback policy. And if somebody just defines a loopback policy that says A shouldn't be able to talk to A, we're not always 100% sure that what that means. It hasn't been defined.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one example of how this gets really dicey, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's where we're at. So you got anything else, Luther?
Well, then if that's where we're at, right? So how's the future? What's coming next?
So next is the KEPS. I think the ACNP is the one that's the most exciting. They want help finishing that and driving it through and promoting it and all that stuff. So they're looking for help with that. And the Network Policy Working Group meets every Monday, I think, or something like that, on Kubernetes SIG community. You can find it and you can go get involved.
Me personally,
your copious spare time.
Yeah, all that sort of all aspects. I mean, I'm literally a flannel maintainer. Literally.
Oh.
What is ACMP again? Go over that again.
Admin cluster network policy.
Yeah.
So the different CNIs implement their own versions of that, but it'll hopefully soon be standardized in the Kubernetes SIG CRDs that we just showed that we weren't able to use. But maybe we'll learn next time.
They're just too hard to use. Let's be honest. Do you think the ACNP stuff is going to actually start coming?
I don't know. We have to ask Stoikas. We did a show on it a while back. At some point we did a show on it, but I don't remember if. I don't know. I don't know, Luther.
What else are you doing? You had other stuff on your agenda. Was I supposed to bring something?
I don't think we have anything else. We're at the hour point. It's over.
It's over? That's it?
The show's over, man.
Just say bye and go eat lunch or dinner, I guess, for you.
Last week we did Rustlet.
Rustlet? Oh, that thing? That's the Rust keylet. It didn't work.
We couldn't get that to work either.
Really?
We're 0 for 2.
Oh, man. This is not good for demos. Maybe it's show SnakeBit, demo SnakeBit.
What's SnakeBit?
Snakebit, like if something just keeps not working for you over and over again, someone just says you're snakebit. Never heard that before.
Oh, I thought it was like a thing.
No. I'm just saying the show is snakebit for doing demos. So like we're 0 for 2, so maybe.
Oh no, it is a Kubernetes thing.
What? No, snakebit Kubernetes. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a thing. It does GPU scheduling.
Well, how about we boot it up and see if we can get it running, and when it fails, we can be 0 for 3. Oh my God, Spotify snakebit? No, that's HDFS. What?
Oh no, this isn't a Kubernetes thing.
I don't know what you're talking about anymore.
Yeah, see, it starts in its own thing. It's called a pit. So it runs in a pod and it schedules GPU jobs for you.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah. See, I can. I gotta go. I'm hungry, Luther.
Dinner time for you, isn't it? Okay, Jay, good to see you, man.
All right, see you, buddy.
Cheers.